Have you ever considered how partisan leaders influenced the course of World War II? This isn't a question we often ask ourselves, but perhaps we should. The influence of partisan leaders in World War II was far-reaching and profound, shaping the course of the conflict in ways both subtle and significant. Partisan leaders, if you're wondering, were those who led resistance movements against the Axis occupation in their respective countries. They were not part of the formal armies of the Allies. Instead, they were ordinary citizens who rose up in extraordinary circumstances, leading their fellow countrymen and women in guerrilla warfare against the invading forces. Their tactics were rooted in disruption, sabotage, and subversion, aimed at throwing a wrench in the machinery of the Axis war effort. Two such leaders that we'll be focusing on in this video are Josip Broz Tito of Yugoslavia and Sydir Kovpak of Ukraine. Both men emerged from the shadows of occupation to become beacons of resistance, their names becoming synonymous with the fight against tyranny. Tito and Kovpak were not just leaders, they were symbols of defiance, embodiments of the indomitable spirit that refused to bow to the oppressor. These men, and the partisan movements they led, were instrumental in resisting the Axis occupation. They disrupted enemy supply lines, sabotaged infrastructure, and inspired their fellow citizens to resist, contributing significantly to the broader Allied efforts. Their actions were a testament to the power of the people. They proved that you didn't need to be a soldier in an army to make a difference. All you needed was the will to resist, the courage to fight, and the determination to never give in, no matter the odds. These partisan leaders, with their guerrilla warfare tactics, underscored a fundamental truth of warfare. It's not just about bullets and bombs, it's also about hearts and minds. It's about inspiring people to stand up, to resist, and to fight for their freedom. Now let's delve into the actions of two such leaders who left an indelible mark on the course of World War II. Scene script. First, we turn our attention to Josip Broz Tito, a man who led a resistance movement that would shake the very foundations of Axis control in Yugoslavia. Born to a peasant family in Croatia, Tito's early years were far from extraordinary. He worked various jobs, journeyed as a metal worker across Europe, and even served in the Austro-Hungarian army during World War I. But it was his involvement in the Communist Party that set the stage for his transformative role in World War II. Rising through the ranks of the Communist Party of Yugoslavia, Tito's charismatic leadership and strategic acumen eventually led him to the helm of the party. When the Axis powers occupied Yugoslavia in 1941, Tito saw an opportunity not just to resist, but to reform. Under Tito's leadership, the partisan resistance movement was born. This was no ordinary military force. The partisans were a diverse group, consisting of men and women from all ethnicities and social strata, united under a common cause. Tito's vision was clear: a liberated, socialist Yugoslavia. But the path to liberation was fraught with challenges. The Axis forces were formidable, and their grip on Yugoslavia was tight. Yet Tito's partisans were undeterred. They employed guerrilla warfare, a tactic that turned Yugoslavia's rugged terrain into their advantage. Striking swiftly and disappearing into the wilderness, the partisans disrupted Axis supply lines and kept the enemy on edge. Key victories like the Battle of Suceska and the Battle of Neretva showcased Tito's strategic brilliance. Despite being heavily outnumbered and outgunned, the partisans managed to inflict significant damage on the Axis forces, boosting the morale of the Yugoslav people. Tito's actions not only disrupted enemy operations, but also sparked a beacon of hope for those under Axis occupation. His leadership galvanized a nation, proving that even in the darkest hours, resistance is not just possible, but can pave the way for a brighter future. While Tito was stirring up a storm in Yugoslavia, Sydir Kovpak was leading a similar resistance in Ukraine. Born into a peasant family in the late 19th century, Kovpak was no stranger to adversity. He rose through the ranks of the Soviet government, from a simple school teacher to the head of the Sumy region. When World War II broke out, his leadership skills were put to the ultimate test. Kovpak formed a partisan unit, a band of brothers, if you will, poised to resist the Axis forces that threatened their homeland. Kovpak's resistance movement was a masterclass in guerrilla warfare. They were a shadow in the night, striking swiftly and disappearing before the enemy could retaliate. The forests and mountains of Ukraine became their fortress, their sanctuary. They struck at railways, bridges, communication lines, the lifeblood of the enemy's war machine. Each attack was a calculated move, a chess game where the stakes were the highest. One of Kovpak's most notable victories was the Carpathian Raid. It was a daring venture, a 100-day journey through enemy territory. Their objective? To disrupt the enemy's supply lines and to ignite the flame of resistance among the local population. Against all odds, Kovpak and his men emerged victorious. They had traversed the treacherous terrain, evaded enemy forces, and dealt a significant blow to the enemy's operations. But perhaps what set Kovpak apart was his ability to inspire. He was not just a leader of a resistance movement, he was a beacon of hope. His victories were not just military successes, they were symbols of defiance, of the indomitable spirit of the Ukrainian people. His words, his actions, his very existence served as a reminder to his people. They were not conquered, they were not defeated. Kovpak's relentless attacks were a thorn in the side of the Axis powers, proving that their occupation was anything but secure. His legacy is a testament to the power of resistance, a testament to the fact that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit can and will fight back. Both Tito and Kovpak made significant contributions to the Allied efforts during World War II. Let's delve into the broader impacts of their actions, shall we? You see, these men weren't just leaders of resistance movements, they were strategists, disruptors, and most importantly, they were symbols of hope. Tito and Kovpak, through their guerrilla warfare, wreaked havoc on enemy supply lines. Imagine the Axis forces, confident in their power, suddenly finding their resources dwindling, their ammunition running low, their food supplies vanishing. Now imagine the confusion, the fear, the doubt seeping into their ranks. That was the power of the disruption caused by Tito and Kovpak. But they didn't stop there. These men, through their relentless efforts, inspired other resistance movements. Their actions were like a spark, igniting the fire of rebellion in the hearts of those living under Axis occupation. From the forests of Yugoslavia to the plains of Ukraine, their spirit of resistance spread, creating a network of freedom fighters all across Europe. Their contributions, however, extended beyond the territories they directly influenced. Tito and Kovpak's actions were an essential part of the broader Allied strategy. They tied up significant Axis resources, keeping them distracted and bogged down in a war of attrition they hadn't anticipated. This allowed the other Allied forces to regroup, strategize, and ultimately launch successful offensives against the Axis powers. In essence, Tito and Kovpak were more than just leaders of their respective resistance movements. They were catalysts, their actions causing ripple effects that played a significant role in the overall Allied victory. They embodied the spirit of resistance, proving that against all odds it was possible to stand up to oppressive forces and not just survive but fight back. The actions of these two men serve as a testament to the power of resistance, showing us that every effort, no matter how small, can contribute to a greater cause. The legacy of Tito and Kovpak extends far beyond the borders of their respective countries. Their names resonate through the annals of history, not just as national heroes, but as global symbols of resistance and tenacity against oppressive forces. In Yugoslavia, Tito's legacy stands tall in the form of countless monuments and memorials, each a testament to his indomitable spirit. Streets and squares bear his name, a constant reminder of his pivotal role in shaping the nation's destiny. His guerrilla tactics, which effectively disrupted enemy supply lines and inspired a nationwide resistance movement, have been studied and implemented by military strategists around the world. Across the border in Ukraine, Kovpak's influence is equally profound. His home in Putivl has been transformed into a museum, a place where one can walk through the pages of his life and understand his contributions to World War II, his strategies of hit and run, and his ability to mobilize ordinary citizens into an effective fighting force have been mirrored in modern resistance movements. from the jungles of Vietnam to the mountains of Afghanistan. But the legacy of Tito and Kovpak is not just confined to the realms of war and resistance. It extends to the spirit of resilience and the will to fight against all odds. It is a legacy of hope, of the belief that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, ordinary people can rise up and make a difference. Indeed, the stories of Tito and Kovpak serve as a reminder that courage and determination can change the course of history. They have inspired countless individuals across generations and geographies to stand up against oppression and injustice. As we remember the horrors of World War II, let us not forget the heroes who, from the shadows, led their people towards the light of freedom.